Okay, let's jump in and do some more Bootstrap exercises on Freecodecamp. We're going to go over there. This is now the third video. I think we've done 6 exercises, maybe 8. Can't actually remember, but once we jump over there, I'll let you know where we're at. So we are presently on use the Bootstrap Grid to put the elements side by side. So let's get right into this. Bootstrap uses a responsive grid system, which makes it easy to put the elements into rows and specify each element's relative width. Most Bootstrap classes can be applied to a div element. Here's a diagram of how Bootstrap's 12-column grid layout works. You can blow that up if you want more details. Note that this illustration, the call-mid class is being used. Here, MD means medium, and the star is a number specifying how many columns wide the element should be. In this case, the column width of the element on a medium-sized screen, such as a laptop, is being specified. The cat photo app that we're building will use the column extra small, or XS, where XS means small, like an extra small size mobile screen. And the pound is the number of columns specifying how many columns wide the element should be. Put the like, info, and delete buttons side by nesting, meaning putting it within this div class, all 3 of them within a div class row element, then each within a div class column XS4 element. The row class is the row class is applied to a div, and then the buttons themselves can be nested within it. So let's get this piece by piece. Your buttons should all be nested within the same div element with the class row. So let's go find those buttons that we made. All right. So here are all the buttons. Let's create a enter here. And what they're asking us to do is create a div, and then with the class row. So we need our class to be equal to row. And then after that, let's see what else they want. So we need it to have a class of row. Each of your Bootstrap buttons should be nested within its own div element with the class of column or col-xs4. So this is just going to take a lot of careful typing, honestly. So they want us to nest the entire thing. So your buttons should all be nested within the same div element with the class of row. So here's the beginning of our nest. And then if we're going to nest all of them, we want that to end below all of them. So we'll go just with the div close tag here. Okay, so let's run a test and see if the first one gets checked. It won't be the right answer for everything, and it did light up the first check. Okay, I realized that the exercise isn't complete because we haven't fulfilled this piece right here. Each of your buttons should be nested within its own div element with the class of col-xs4. So what we now have to do is nest each button individually with a element that is a div, and then it has the class equal to col-xs-4. So we haven't finished nesting even this first button because we need to close the div below. And this first one should be done right now. So let's see, why is that broken? I'm sorry, my button to close the tags sometimes gets stuck. So The first button is actually nested. We just need to repeat the same formula time and time again. So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to copy and paste the same command time and time again, but we've got to close this one first before I paste it again. Another enter, and we'll paste. Let's go below here to finalize the nest. I'll make sure I'm sealed. Okay, so it may not look like much, but the buttons have all been kind of compressed and stacked a little more nice and neat than they once were. So what we did, we nested all of our buttons within the div class row, and we finished the div. And then we set all of the individual buttons up with a div class of the COL. And I just now noticed that I don't have the S in any of these, and that would have made all of them wrong. Got to be careful with typos and things that just aren't quite complete. So now that I fixed that, we've nested all the buttons within this div class row and this div close, but then we've nested each button individually within the div class call XS4 and closed each one of those divs. So we've nested all of them, and then we've nested each individually. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's run the test. This should pass. And it did. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I think that this gives you a huge jump start on the problems to come. Certainly let me know if you run into challenges. So I realized that that's just one problem, but that actually embodies what you'll be doing for the other problems throughout the Bootstrap challenges on Freecodecamp. So yes, most certainly ask me questions, but that gives you a very, very clear-cut idea of how to do the rest of the challenges. So we'll stop right there. Thanks.